What's up, everyone? It's your boy Noah Radd89 here, bringing you another review. As I said, catching up on the reviews for a bunch of films I caught. Just actually recently watched Hellboy, the 2019 version, so I know I'm a few years late on this one. We're going to be getting into some spoilers today and all that kind of stuff, because this film's pretty old already, so if you haven't seen it, you need to go run out and check it out and then come back so we can talk about it. And this is one man, I really wish they were able to bring Del Toro back after watching this one, but let's get down into the details, positives, negatives, the rating, and then I'm going to send you all home. Let's do this. Roll it. 2019 Hellboy film is directed by Neil Marshall and is the reboot attempt because the studios were really trying for a long time to get Del Toro to do a third installment to his Hellboy films, but they ended up going with the reboot and they went the hard R route. So let's get right into the positives for that I loved about this film is that it is R rated. Yes, there's some really bad CGI blood, but the fact that they were able to go R-rated and include much more things that are typically seen in the Hellboy comics or even the Hellboy animated film series, like they just were able to accompany and incorporate a lot more aspects of the Hellboy universe in this film because they went that rated R route. Another thing that's pretty cool about this film is this isn't short of action. Like, this is one of those films that it's very little woven plot or very little explained plot, and it's just all pretty much just action. Like, there are different action scenes from here there's one where he fights three giants, there's one where he fights kind of like this crooked like old woman witch lady there, seer woman that he stole her eye. Like, there's these different elements in the film and like different fights, and it just keeps going and going from different stuff. And yeah, like I said, not short of action at all. And we also have David Harbour in here as the lead for playing Hellboy in this film, and I think he does a pretty good job. He wasn't asked to do too much, and you could kind of tell that there was a lot of problems in the production room and the writing room, a lot of reshoots and re-editing. You could kind of just feel the inconsistency in the film, but David Harbour, I think, did the best job he could in the performance as the main role. Now let's get into some of the negatives, because sadly this was one that did miss the mark for me in a lot of areas. And well, actually, another positive before we get into it, I thought Milla Jovovich, I thought she actually did a pretty good job as our main antagonist, the Red Queen, or that Red Queen chick, Red Blood Queen, whatever she was, can't remember, but I think she did a very good job as the main antagonist in this film. But now let's get, like I said, into the negatives. And the first one, the very first glaring one, is this film is very inconsistent in terms of pacing, story, all that kind of stuff. It almost feels like it's kind of a greatest hits of Hellboy scenes, like not really a focused storyline, or you know what I mean? And there's a lot of dropped side plots and side plots that don't get a lot of attention to them. So it's just kind of dropped, and there's a lot in this film. So it's bloated. It's a bloated movie that doesn't have a lot of like just direction, so you can feel it when as you're watching this film. You're just like, damn, like these shots and these sequences, this action is pretty cool, and I like seeing the fighting and seeing all this stuff, and it's quippy, there's one-liners, but it doesn't necessarily go together. Add to that, I think the one-liners and the comedy is very much more missed than hit in this film. There are some moments where I did crack up, where I had a genuine laugh, but there's a lot more moments that were more cringy than anything else. I also think just you can tell by watching this film, if you're not, like me, I'm attached to the Del Toro films, and I even like the animated film series. Films that they did. I think they did one in 2007 and 2008 or something like that, these animated ones. And I like all those films, and like love that Hellboy has a lot of rich lore in the franchise. And I think this film, it tries to tackle similar themes that have been done and similar stuff that's been done that we've seen before, but it's been done better. So that's another problem with this film, is just the execution. And this kind of sucks because as Neil Marshall being a director, I'm a huge fan of him. Like, he did this movie called Doomsday that was really good. He did The Descent. Like, he's a director that knows what he's doing and can bring thrills and knows horror aspect stuff and action. So when I saw him as the director for this film, I was like, oh, this can't be as bad as most people say, but this is a pretty bad film. Like I said, this is one of those films that you kind of got to put on just for popcorn, schlocky value, just to get that value out of it. There's nothing really else that I get from this film, and that's the problem, because when I watch it, after watching it, I just feel like it was pointless. I could easily go watch Hellboy or Hellboy the Golden Army and get the much more enjoyment and fulfillment out of that than watching this one again. So sadly, I think this Hellboy reboot was definitely a misfire for sure. There's certain elements, like I said, David Harbour, the fact that it's rated R, there is constant action in this movie, so you're not gonna be bored. This film is not gonna bore you. It's just, it feels to me, as a personal opinion from my taste, it feels pointless, and I do really miss Del Toro's, his style, even though it was more, like I said, PG-13, just the world, the realm that he built in those first two films, I think was much more rich, and like I said, tackling the themes that they decided to do in this film, again, were already better tackled in those two previous films. So that's why I had a problem with this film, because like after watching it, I just was like, oh, well, this was kind of pointless. But in my book, the Hellboy 2019 reboot is going to get a 5 out of 10. This is still a very, like I said, average film. You can't knock it below that, because there's very many attempts at some really good stuff in this film, but the execution's not there, and it just, like I said, just feels kind of like a jumbled mash of amazing Hellboy moments with no central direction to it. So that's why it doesn't get above that 5 out of 10. But like the 5 out of 10 is for that mediocre enjoyment that I did have from all that crazy fighting and rated R antics that they had in this movie. And like I said, David Harbour does the best with what he is given in this film. Thanks for sticking around with me all for this review of Hellboy, and if you've seen this one, let me know in the comment section what you think of this film, because we're all different, and that's the best thing about us. So I would love to hear from all of you. Did you really enjoy this film, or are you kind of more in my boat and was just like kind of let down by this film? I would love to hear from all of you so we could chat about it. And make sure to hit me up on my social media and like and subscribe so you can stay tuned to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Have a safe and happy day, everyone. Peace out.